Hallo Leute, ich bin Sabino aus Brasilien und ihr seht Deutsch für euch.
Naja. If you studied German for a while, you've probably come across it. You've had it squeezed into your head by awkward, kind of artificial textbook conversations, or you've come across it in a YouTube video that was otherwise too quick and colloquial for you. Sound about right? So immediately to any learner of the language, naja seems to be one of those little words that just makes you sound a little more real German or authentic when you use it. And that's not wrong. Sadly, it therefore also has the potential to point out that you're not actually German, make you sound kind of weird when you're using it in the wrong instances. So that's why I'm here today, to explain to you how that works and how and when to use it. Ha! I don't know what the hell that was, but let's just roll with it. So generally speaking, equating naja to the English well is about the right idea. But as pretty much always, it's not a one-to-one equivalency, and this is where weird stuff comes in. So its first and easiest usage is it's our way of saying so-so. Hey, wie geht's dir? Naja. So this would be a fairly common example, and in this instance it communicates two things. One, the person isn't really well. Maybe not really bad either, but certainly they're trying to stay kind of ambiguous about it. And two, they're probably going to go on to elaborate on what they mean when they say naja, or the other person is going to ask them about it. And this ambiguity shows very much in basically every other usage of naja, because in the end it's mostly an opener for other things while staying kind of mushy about it. Shit, guys, it's been so long and it's been so hot recently that I completely forgot to put on a hat. Sorry about that. So, to get on to our example. Hat dir der Film gefallen? Naja, ja. Again, when a German hears this answer, they will think two things. Erstens, you didn't really hate the movie, but you certainly didn't love it either. Zweitens, you're probably gonna end up elaborating on what you thought about it rather than just saying yes or no. Another scenario. Hast du schon Hunger? Na ja. Now this is a case where things kind of get interesting because in English you could have not just replied with well to are you hungry yet? In German, however, naja works. This naja just told the person asking the question, well, nearly nothing. Because as we are figuring out, naja is above anything else a way to stall for an actual answer. It either says, I'm not saying no, but I'm leaning towards it, or I'm kind of scared to say it, or it's complicated, I have to explain. It can also be used as a way to kind of soften the blow when you're trying to contradict somebody, but don't want to be too confrontational about it. Also, ich finde das Bild schön. Naja, aber besonders originell ist es nicht. So basically, if you're really afraid of conflicts and like elaborating on things, this is the word for you. Now, a very common misconception, and one of the main reasons why I'm even making this video, is that some people tend to assume that naja is kind of saying ja in a more casual way, which it isn't. You can't say naja, ja, but that's really just a non-committal yes. It's not, laid back or whatever. It's just, you're saying yes, but you're kind of at like 70%. So naja, ja, most of the time either also means that you're going to say more or that you're kind of annoyed at something that somebody said. Because in a conflict where somebody brings up something that you already said or that you don't really think is a valid point or anything, it basically says, well, yes, of course. Example, didn't you say you were going to come home early? So sadly, for some reason, I forgot to record the reply to this, which would have been, naja, ja, but I changed my mind. The last way we use naja is to kind of segue out of a topic or an entire conversation. This usually, but not always, happens when things get kind of awkward, or you just run out of things to say on the matter. It either says, let's talk about something else, I'm not comfortable with this anymore, or I'm bored of the topic, or whatever, or it means I have to leave this conversation. Either because I'm upset, or because I have to leave, because I don't have time anymore. You're trying to, find an end point. In this case, it can kind of function as an empty filler, so as a way to not say nothing, but not really say anything while saying something. Or, again, it can also be like a thing to, a placeholder to then say something else after it. Und deswegen finde ich, dass ich recht habe. Kann schon sein. Naja, ich muss da mal weg. So in this instance, it's more like, anyway. Anyway, I gotta leave. Or, anyway, let's talk about something else. A kind of positive byproduct of this is that you can also just use it to say, I'll get over it. So, naja, I'll be fine. So one example in German for that would be, verdammt, ich habe meine Kamera vergessen. Naja, egal, ich habe ja mein Handy. So the takeaway here is, nobody's really entirely sure how to translate naja in all instances. Because like with most very colloquial words, or purely colloquial words, there's not really a one-to-one equivalency in most other languages. The closest thing it tries to communicate is probably everything and yet nothing at all. Because most of the time it really functions as a stand-in for a more elaborate and more accurate answer that can then follow or be left out, but therefore showing that, you know, there is a bigger story here, but I don't have the time, I don't want to tell it, whatever. To sum up, the one thing it definitely does not and never mean is yes. Naja, that's it for today. Your random word of the week is das Bügeleisen. Now, if you know the word for iron in German, Eisen, you might think you can just say, ich brauche ein Eisen. You can't though. So to say iron, as in the clothes drying iron, you always need to put bügel in front of it, because bügeln means to iron, as in the verb. Okay, bis nächste Woche. Tschüss!